So, in looking at how we're dealing with da'wah in terms of Muslims and inviting Muslims back to Islam, we have to understand that there are many, many people that have been so distanced from Islam that you cannot expect them. If you meet a woman now in America who grew up, for instance, in a house, she might be an Afghani or a Pakistani or an Egyptian woman or Palestinian, but she's grown up in a very secular house, but she knows she's Muslim. And if you treat her as if, why aren't you wearing a hijab? Why don't you cover your hair? Don't you know that's haram? There's a man that came to the Prophet of Allah, a Muslim, and gave him as a gift, this is in Sahih Muslim, gave him as a gift a bottle of wine. That was his present to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَوَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ حَرَّمَ الْخَمَرِ. Didn't you know that Allah prohibited wine? He said, لَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. I didn't know that. And then he whispered to the man who came with him, his servant. And he said, what did you just tell him? He said, I told him to go sell it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, الَّذِي حَرَّمَ شُرْبَهُ قَدْ حَرَّمَ بَيْعَهُ. The one that prohibited its drinking also prohibited its selling. And he said, oh, in that case, go dump it out. Now, the Prophet ﷺ didn't say to him, what's wrong with you? How dare you bring me a bottle of wine as a gift? I mean, you might invite a very secularized Muslim to your house and he comes with a bottle of wine as a gift. And there's Muslims that would say, A'udhu billah, go to hell or something, and slam the door on them. That's not what the Prophet ﷺ did. That's not how he treated that person, because he was looking at the level of the person's knowledge and consciousness. Because people are on an evolutionary journey. We believe in evolution in a different way than, for instance, people in this culture associate evolution with moving from lower order creatures to higher order. But the evolution of the soul is something very real. There are people at different levels. The Arabs say that حَسَنَاتُ الْأَبْرَارِ سَيَّاتِ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. The good actions of righteous people are the bad actions of people in the divine presence. Because the evolution is different. So somebody might be a very good Muslim, but he doesn't even know that his actual state. I mean, there are many Muslims that outwardly everything is fine, but there's an inward fiqh and there's an outward fiqh. There are inward rules to the prayer, just like there. You could do a perfect prayer outwardly, so your fiqh of the zahir is perfect, but your inward fiqh, the khushu' in the prayer, the khashya in the prayer, the tuma'nina in the prayer, the sakina in the prayer, the hudur, the presence of mind in the prayer. You could be thinking about whether the Giants won the game yesterday or today or whenever it is. And there's Muslims in the Bay Area that are concerned about that right now. But that might be where the heart is. And where your heart is, that's where you are. So your body might be in prayer, but your heart is in sin. I mean, that's Bani Adam. So you have to look at the level of the person's spiritual evolution in speaking to them and understanding. I mean, I've heard people years ago that got in these big arguments with me and just this and that. And then years later, I met them and they apologized. In fact, that just happened to me recently. From somebody came up to me and just apologized. He said, I just want to apologize to you. And I said, don't worry about it. It's fine. But where that person was, he couldn't see something that he was able to see later about something that he thought was wrong, but later on he realized that it wasn't wrong based on his knowledge and his understanding at that stage. And that's something that we all go through. There are things that we think are absolutely wrong, and later we learn that they're right, or that they were at least possible, that there was room for interpretation. But people that are hasty to judge, that's a sign of spiritual immaturity. Imam al-Ma'ziri radiallahu anhu said, it was said about him that his knowledge was so vast that he rarely saw anybody do anything wrong. Because he would always find, oh, well, that's so-and-so's opinion. Or maybe he's following so-and-so's fatwa. And so, traditionally, the ulama considered it a sign of immaturity for people that were so hasty to condemn other people, that it was actually a sign of immaturity. So, in terms of dealing with Muslims, we have to, the basic premise has to be compassion. We have to have compassion for our brothers and sisters.
محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم. محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب